Africa, tujikaze, America, tujikaze.
You are listening to African Father in America podcast by Simon Javan Okelo, live from Seattle, Washington, USA.
Thank you for joining me for another amazing session of the Daily African Proverbs. My name is Simon Javan Okelo. I'm in Seattle, Washington, and I hope you are all doing well. I'm excited to be here for another session on a Tuesday, and we call these Tuesday sessions Travel Tuesdays because we talk a lot about the travel room that we host on Wednesdays. So just prepare to learn more about it. I actually want to invite Joseph, Kafunda, and Kalema, who are involved with that. But today we are also discussing an amazing proverb from South Africa, and I have Cornelia in the room. I am hoping that Jane Aidu is going to join us for this conversation as well. The proverb that we are discussing today says that the lead cow gets whipped the most. And when I looked at this proverb, it reminded me, I wonder if I was audible enough earlier. But I just want to welcome everyone to the Daily African Proverbs. And I was saying earlier that today's proverb reminds me of when I look at it, and I want to pin it here real quick so that you can all join me on YouTube as well, where we are live streaming this conversation. Jane Aidu is most likely going to join us on Clubhouse only. He's not going to be on YouTube with us. He's an elder that I have a lot of love and respect for, and I want to hear his perspective about today's proverb. But when I look at this proverb, it reminds me of how South Africa was treated recently, when South Africa was the first country that announced that it had discovered the Omicron variant. The whole of Europe basically locked out South Africa. The whole world locked out South Africa just like that. And South Africa was the lead cow, just like this proverb is saying. And South Africa was courageous enough to say that, hey, this one is a new one. So that's my perspective. I want to hear your perspectives as well. Whenever we gather here in the Daily African Proverbs, I personally come here to learn. I come here to share what I know about these specific proverbs that, we also discuss. And then for me, the place where I learn the most is listening, listening to all of you who join me in order to contribute and in order to also gain some African wisdom by the end of our conversation. So I want to ask you to ping in, 3 to 5 people into the room if you're on Clubhouse. And if you're on YouTube, I encourage you to share this link. Let's invite the rest of the village into this room for today's conversation. Joseph, how are you doing? I think I saw you post a picture of you and someone that you love. You guys were having coffee. I just loved the space, the colors of the furniture. Where was that?
Hi, Simon, and hi, everyone. Simon. No, today is it's my father's sister birthday. Growing up here back in Namibia, that lady practically raised me. When I go to school, come back, she was the only one that I could find at home who look after us, me and a daughter and a son who used to live with us. So my entire life, let me say from childhood until when I was 16 to 17 almost, I was raised by that lady. So she's very close to my heart. And she's someone that I can be able to talk to. And I just decided since today is 63 birthday, 63rd birthday, and I took her to one of a favorite coffee shop here in the coast. in Swakop Moon. So I took her there, and then she didn't know the surprise that I planned for her. She had a birthday cake, and then she had a favorite coffee. She had a favorite milkshake. So, when you have been practically raised by someone, so you definitely know what kind of food, what kind of drink she will love. So I took the menu away from her and I just told her, just wait, and then you see what will happen. So after like 5, 10 minutes, the whole staff of the coffee shop, they came singing for her happy birthday, and they took that lovely picture. I'm just happy it's her birthday today. She's practically the mother, the woman of my life. I wouldn't uh, trade anything for her to anything. So she is always close to my heart, Simon. Thank you.
Yeah, that's beautiful. Now, share your perspectives about this proverb as well. That's great.
Thank you, Simon. When you travel, this kind of wisdom, I call them these proverbs. For me, they are wisdom. They are things that keep me each and every day alive. They remind me of the untold African stories, the stories that no one ever shared.
Hey,
I'm gonna compare it to
Joseph,
yes.
get close to the mic a little bit. I think you seem to be a little farther away from the mic today.
Okay, sorry, Simon. Uh, like I was saying, each and every day when I come into this room, it's for me, it's a learning process. Proverbs are actually part and parcel of African untold story. And for me, when I come here and I look at the proverbs like this, it enrich me personally by looking first of all at African family. The proverbs speak about the first cow, the leading cows. And when you look at African family, the firstborn of the family is always the one who has to take everything, every punch for the family. We never understand why, but sometimes as you learn to travel, you learn to understand that firstborn and the lastborn, they are the loved one, but the firstborn is the one who has to take all the blame for the rest of the family because he's the elder one. So the leading cow in this case is the elder one. He's the one who has to show and lead and create the path for everyone. And if he does goes into the wrong path, that's why he get whipped. But what does it teach us? It teaches us responsibility doesn't have to be only by the leaders. It has to be a responsibility for each and everyone to take and accept the responsibility that comes within life. And the cow, it need to lead us, but at the same time, we have also to lead that cow. We have to show him that this is the correct path, this is the better way, this is the decision that he or she can be able to take. It's not anymore about common sense. It's about helping one another. It's about educating one another. It's about networking together with one another. So that's what the Proverbs for today is speaking to me about. Thank you, Simon.
Wow, thank you. Thank you very much. I appreciate your perspectives. And I want to welcome everyone to the Daily African Proverbs. I want to explain something that I'm actually doing while you're speaking. I love retweeting and just, taking notes of the nuggets of wisdom that I listen to in the Daily African Proverbs. So you'll find a number of, tweets about some of the things you share with us here. And there's also a feature here on Clubhouse called Clips. It's right below, it's the third feature at the bottom from your right hand side. That scissors, the scissors. If you tap it when someone is saying something that you really like, it grabs the 30 seconds of what they said, and you can share it on Twitter. I think you can share it in multiple other places. I just feel that it's a beautiful feature for this room especially. So feel free to use it. And then the replays are also on. So later on Clubhouse, you can catch this conversation. But this conversation is also going to be available in the African Father in America podcast about an hour after our time here together. And also it's going to be available on YouTube, so you can watch the entire video side of our conversation on YouTube. But I want you to know that we are discussing a proverb from South Africa, And we have Cornelia here in the room, and I'm expecting to host Elder Jay here in the room as well later on. Jay is in Canada. He's not in South Africa at the moment, so he had to travel, and last night he was just getting out of quarantine, so we were not very sure if he would make it. So if he doesn't make it, that's probably going to be why. Now I want to hear from Dr. No Days Off. I just want to hear your perspectives on this proverb from South Africa that says that the lead cow gets whipped the most. Thank you so much. Yeah, this is Simon. I suspect that Dr. No Days Off might not be by his microphone, so we will come back to him later. Alexis, I hope you're doing well. I just want to pass you the microphone so that we can hear what you've been up to, and also what this proverb means to you. Thank you so much. Yeah, this is Simon. I wonder if it's my microphone or something, but
we can hear you. We can hear you.
We can hear you.
Okay, that's good. That's good. That's good. That's good. I was just sharing earlier, that my thoughts, my interpretation of this proverb from South Africa is really around the most recent situation with the Omicron variant of the coronavirus. And so the way the world responded, for me, by restricting flights that can go in and out of South Africa, and not only South Africa but the Southern Africa region, we have quite a few people that were impacted directly by that situation. And I was also talking to a friend from Zimbabwe who was supposed to travel to the US, and I was helping them just with the final pieces of their travel plan, and by the time we were meeting to talk, she could not travel anymore. But I want to hear your perspectives, Cornelia. You are South African, and this is a South African proverb, so I just want to give you space so that you share with us what it means to you.
Good day, Simon, and to everyone else who has joined us in the room today. When I saw this proverb in Instagram today, I just had to have a good laugh. And the way Joseph has really interpreted this proverb is very similar to the way I would interpret it as well. But when I looked at it, I had to think of Martin Luther King. Is a phrase that I use a lot. Our lives begin to end when we become silent about things that matter. Yeah? Our lives begin to end the day we become silent about things that matter. And this is exactly what South Africa has done, what they've always has done in our, in our history and our background. I think the rest of the world knows what we have gone through. But that gave me just another way of saying, you know what? Even if it's hard, we were not silent about what mattered. And it was hard, for the touristing industry as well. But we'll get through that. South Africa has gone through so much already. So this is just another whoop, we have to go through, because we have so much. South Africa and Africa, our continent is so rich. We have so much. So if whoever who has an agenda, if they can whoop us, they will try to whoop us. But they didn't. I don't think they calculate with the power of the continent and our people. We are stronger. The more you whoop us, the more we stand up and go again, because we are a force to be reckoned with. Yeah, and that's my take. to your proverb today, Simon. Thank you for having me.
Oh, you're most welcome. You're most welcome, and I agree with you in regards to, the resilience part of South Africa, and also the resilient part of Africa as a whole. I feel that, opportunities like this are also presented so that Africa can unite and respond collectively, and I think African leaders let Africans down with this type of opportunity. I think where the world is going, collective power is so important, and I think African leaders don't take advantage of opportunities like this, because when such situations come up, the European Union comes together quickly, and they say this is a unilateral decision by all these countries. But a lot of the time, an entire region like Southern Africa is banned from traveling, and economies are ruined. But the African Union says nothing. Only individual countries respond. So it's just harder for the lead cow, that was South Africa, when the news comes from your country, and just to correct the bad press that comes about with these types of situations, or to recover from the economical damage that has been created, is hard. So the response needs to be equally hard, but I don't feel like that's what I saw. I want to welcome Jihad, who has been an amazing supporter of the Daily African Proverbs. Thank you for being here. Before you share with us, I just want to welcome Jay, who has joined us for today's conversation. Elder Jay Naidu is, an elder and a brother that I have so much love and respect for. So Jihad, will hear from you briefly, and then we'll hear from Samara. And then we'll now listen to Jay so that he can share with us his perspectives on this proverb as well. Jay, it means a lot. I know that you're still probably tired from the travel and being in quarantine. So thank you so much for being here. It means a lot. Jihad, share with us your perspectives on today's proverb.
Hey, how's it going? Well, yeah, the lead cow gets whipped the most. Yeah, that's it's so deep, right? And it's so plain and so basic at the same time. In regards to like the lead cow gets whipped the most, the idea is like, yeah, wherever the head goes, the body follows. I know in slavery times, right? They would have like this thing called the Willie. There was this thing called the Willie Lynch manifesto, the Willie Lynch manifesto, where they would take the lead, the head male in the community, the head black slave in the community, and tie him to four horses, tie each appendage to the horse, like his arms and his legs, and split him, quarter him, right? And it was and allow the pregnant women and the community to see this, to instill fear in them, because they're taking this head male and destroying him and showing the power. And it's just like, and this will create like this lasting thing, right? And the same thing in regards to organizations, in the past. If you look at the Black Panther Party, right, what happened, right? If you look at like even so the Civil Rights Movement, Martin Luther King, so many different movements. The idea is like they destroy the head, so what the body can follow, the body can what's the name fall apart. And the same thing, as a teacher, I realized, like, what, as a former teacher, I realized, hey, when you're working with students, you got to you got to understand who the lead, who everyone's following in the class, and you have to work with that person. If you work with that person, you get them on your side. Everyone else follows, gets in line a little bit better. And in the same sense, you know what I mean? It's like if you're trying to like create some type of order out of chaos, you have to work, word out of chaos. They work with you have to work with the person who is a lead in that chaos, unfortunately. And it looks like that. But this also reminds me of Jesus, right? Jesus, or as Isaiah said it, says, "To whom has the Lord revealed his powerful arm?" right? That's Isaiah 53, part of verse 1. It says, and then I'm going to go down. It says, but he was, for verse 5, I said, but he was pierced for our rebellion, crushed for our sins. He was beaten so we could be whole. He was whipped so we could be healed. All of us, like sheep, have strayed away. We have left God's path to follow our own, yet the Lord laid on him the sins of us all. So, just the idea of like who Jesus was, right? That, he is the head of the church, right? He is our Savior. He is our Lord. And in that direction, and because of our iniquities, and he was a lead, whatever. He's the head. All of our unrighteousness was laid upon him. Yet he was undeserving of it. So I don't know. It's just, this is a very deep proverb in a lot of different ways, and you can see it in life. But yeah, it makes sense.
Excellent. Thank you. Thank you so much for sharing your perspectives, Jihad. And welcome everyone who is here with us for the Daily African Proverbs. We want to hear from Samara briefly, and then we'll hear from Jay, and then Hazel. I would love for you to share, just listening to everything that everyone is sharing, and I want you to share the closing remarks for our session today, if you're able to stay with us for the next half an hour. Samara, please share with us your perspectives on this proverb from South Africa.
Thank you, Simon. I'll keep it very quick and very brief because I'm still at work. The lead cow gets whipped the most. I sort of want to take a different perspective, the way I sort of interpreted it in my mind. I thought about the lead cow having responsibility and also setting the tone for the rest of all the other cows that are following for them. In order to be great, they must be as good as the lead cow, but the lead cow gets whipped the most and comes through the most hurdles in order to be the most great. So just if anyone is in a position of power or leadership, not every single leader, I understand, is going in a good direction, but if a leader is in a good direction and is a stand-up person, they go through many hurdles in order to get to the positions they are. And that's my perspective for today. Thank you, Simon. Thank you, everybody.
Oh, you're most welcome, Samara. I'm grateful that you're here, and thank you again for sharing your perspectives with us as well. I just kept hand raising on here on Clubhouse so that if anybody else wants to join us on stage, feel free to join us. But in 7 minutes, I'll be turning it off. And I just want us to go all the way to Elder Jay Naidu and pass you the mic. Jay, I hope you're doing well. Well, I know you're doing well because you're here, but I'm just really grateful to you, and I hope your family and everyone in South Africa is doing well. I know that you probably know much more about the impact of South Africa being banned from accessing the rest of the world because of the recent Omicron variant that was first announced in South Africa. But I just wanted you to speak to, for me, I feel that was a really good example of where a proverb like this applies. The lead cow gets whipped the most. But I've missed hearing your voice, and I just want to hear you speak to this and also any other thing that you'd like us to learn today. Thank you so much.
Simon, it's a great pleasure to be back here. And yes, this is a proverb that reflects South Africa at the moment because, I passed through the net. I came into Canada a few days before they introduced the banning orders on air travel to the country, specifically targeting Africa and Southern Africa in this case. And, I suppose growing up in apartheid, one's intensely aware of racism, especially the one that is unspoken here in the West, It's in their eyes, in their energy vibrations, in their porosphere. And then as we get to understand it's really deep in Western culture, spanning millennia, because it's intergenerationally, bred a deep, incestuous, fearful strain, more virulent than Queen Victoria, or Queen Corona. And so when the Omicron variant was discovered by South African scientists, the world jumped to a conclusion that it originated in Africa, and the stereotypes were cast widely. I've had incessant official phone calls. I've had to have 2 more COVID tests here. I had been quarantined just for the privilege of coming to visit my wife's family and my wife's mom, who is very ill and needs some help. So here we have a pattern. It's not something that just happened that is incidental. There's a deep pattern. And this pattern goes right back to the crusades of slavery, of colonization. I have a great friend of mine, Bayo Molefi, is a Nigerian, and he's a poet and he's a philosopher. And he wrote a stunning article on the slave ship. And what he argues is that the slave ship is still here. And yeah, it is here. I experience it. I experience it when it's integrated into political and economic systems, like the decision of the West to shoot from its hip, and rather than acknowledge the expertise that identified a new strain of coronavirus, they want to put us deep into the dungeons. So so I think that increasingly it's in the DNA of the mainstream media. It's like I've written this article, I call it the oozing pus that corrodes the global social fabric. It's in the immigration policies, it's in the employment, it's in the customs which randomly chooses people of color to question. It's in the reality that, if you're a person of color in what's claimed to be the most important democracy in the world, United States, where you are, if you happen to be black, you can be shot. And of course, you grow up in that terror, and shot not just metaphorically, but shot physically. So I think it's time to us to stop being some poor photocopy of a Hollywoodized, sanitized persona. It's for us to understand what it means to be African. And unfortunately, proverbs like this are also context. They're context bound. At the moment, we're having in Africa most of our leaders actually collaborating with a system that destroys, that undermines, that weakens our rights to human dignity, the right to be African, the right to understand that there was civilization in Africa long before Europeans were running around in skins. And so why don't we acknowledge this? Why don't we understand our own spiritual beliefs, our relationship with nature? The coronavirus is here because we're destroying the natural environment. What makes we think that we as a human species are more important than a virus or a bee? I mean, if you take away all the insects in our world, we won't survive 6 months. Take away the human species, and the world flourishes like it did under, the pandemic. I don't see any species complaining. The air is clearer, the water is clearer, the animals are freer. So I think it's an important point of us looking at something like this and saying, yeah, maybe the lead cow, especially the one who are charlatans, the one who are imposters, need to be whipped. And we, the people, should whip them. Otherwise, we condemn ourselves to a non-existence. We are the black. We are the people of color. We are the non-white. So I think that what we need to understand is that leadership carries its scars, its own demons, its own mistakes, but it is a leadership of courage. And that's what's characterized the lead cow. It should be courage, not subservience. It should be the right to stand aside anyone, irrespective of caste, of religion, of color, of language, of race, which is not even scientific, and to say I have the right to equivalence, to be regarded as equal to anyone else. And that equality doesn't end with us as human beings. It extends to every single thing, every single species that we share our planet with, our Mother Earth with. So, Simon, I mean, you got me in a moment where, of course, I've been reflecting very deeply about the deep ancestral rage amongst the Westerners. And that ancestral rage is their rage. What their ancestors did to commit genocide across the world in pursuit of their interest still remains their issue. And if they want to heal, because it is a wound, then we are willing to help them from Africa to heal their wounds. But I don't think we are willing to continue to be slaves to a system or to a dominant culture that wants to destroy everything we have existed as for millennia, for tens of thousands of years. So let me leave it at that. Simon.
Wow, thank you. You just get me so worked up. Like you just get me woken up too. You wake up every nerve in my system because of how you describe the situation that we are in as a human race, not just as Africans, not just as South Africans, but all of us. We are in this together, and we have to deal with it. We have to face it. But the most important thing for me that I grasped is we have to, as people of color, as Africans, we have to know and fight to ensure that we are regarded as equal to everyone else. But also we need to fight to ensure that even every part of nature, every living thing in the world is regarded as equal to everyone else. You know, I appreciate that a lot. So then, you know, I just want to speak to Kenya for a moment because, you know, in Kenya we are having an election next year, and the Kenyan president was in South Africa recently, just around the time that this announcement was being made and these lockdowns were happening. And next year Kenya is going for an election, and I've seen a number of young people, you know, vying for offices, and I've really felt encouraged. And for a moment I felt that maybe that's what we need to see, and you know, and do more of, and get support for all these young people, so that we have you know, young people that can be a part of this transformation that we need in especially in leadership, so that we can, you know, we can begin running our institutions in a way that will give Africa the dignity and the power to be able to deal with the rest of the world. Because part of the challenge that I feel that we have amongst our leaders is that our leaders also approach issues not as equal to the people that they are negotiating with, whether it's the Chinese or the Europeans or in Russia. A lot of the time we are so used to begging, you know, that by the time we are even selling a valuable product, we are just in a position where it's as if we are asking for help. So I just wanted you to speak to the future. You know, a lot of people in this room are young people who are involved in creating change, and a lot of us also in this room are young parents. You know, how do you see us being involved in creating this future that is better for our children and also ourselves? You know, I want to live, you know, in a world where I also feel safer as a black man living here in the US, or safe enough, you know. So I just want you to speak to that for a moment. This is Simon speaking. I don't know if Elder Jay is still in the room, but Jay, think about...
I guess we have to start off with where the journey starts. And it starts off as an individual. It's an individual choice you make about how you want to relate to the gift of this human experience. Do you just want to, fall into a routine and just follow that routine, or do you want to make it worthwhile? And making it worthwhile often is a journey within, in which you understand that this human experience is something you are gifted with and should drive your evolution as a physical human being, but also more important, as a spiritual human being, that we have to pierce this veil of pain and suffering of the human experience and see life as many lessons that have been given to us, and that we should not get drawn into the quicksand of the emotional trauma or the psychological trauma of that experience, but keep a distance, take the lesson and move on to the next lesson. And so that's what the purpose of life is, to make it worthwhile. Now, if you're going to make it worthwhile, then you've got to, start off with your circle, your immediate circle, which is you and your family. But if you stay within that circle and think this is the only thing in my life, then you're restricting your human potential. Is to extend those circles to, to the community, to your nation, to your culture, beyond your identity as tribe, as language, and eventually extend it across universally. The idea is that building these concentric circles of kindness, of compassion, this is what makes people like a Nelson Mandela or, Amilcar Cabral, or, you know, one of the great heroes we respect in the world. This is what makes them great, is that they give their lives in service to others, particularly those that are more vulnerable, those that are more marginalized, those that need a hand up rather than, a hand out. So I think that's what young people need to do. But the system of politics today has been compromised. It's not like the days in which we fought for freedom, for we are part of liberation movements. Look at Africa, what liberation movements, even in South Africa, have done to our country and to our people. So yes, we should encourage people to go into that, to try and recalibrate that, to reorganize that, to bring back a new dream. And then the question is, what is your dream? Because a lot of times is young people go into the system and get co-opted by the system and get wooed by the frills and the benefits of the system. And so, yes, we need young people who are idealistic, like what you've done here, Simon. The reason I support you and the team around you is because you exhibit something that says, I am searching for something, which is the truth. But if you go into that with the truth, understand you will be the lead cow, because you will be disturbing a system that serves certain interests, certain gatekeepers. So of course you're going to get hammered. Of course you're going to get whooped as the lead cow. And so you must understand that. For me, the idea of dying in the struggle for freedom was an honor. It wasn't a fear. It was an honor that we would look forward to. If you go back to indigenous Zulu customs, he called it the inkunzi. It's when the bull, the black bull, goes to its death with honor. And so I'm not asking you all to do that, but I'm asking you to do something that is extraordinary, not ordinary. The system is broken. The food system is broken. The health system is broken. The economic system is broken. The political system is broken. Go. It's the greatest opportunity to recreate and co-create something new. I'm excited because things are breaking down. Because when things have to break down for the new to be born, just look at childbirth. Only a woman can understand how beautiful this experience is, and only one that could understand how painful it is. But it yields a priceless gift of a child. And I was present at my children's birth, and I saw the pain and the piercing the veil of pain and suffering, and then I saw love gushing out. And so that's what we need to look at in politics. It must make butterflies in your stomach in the morning. Otherwise, it's a job. Then you're going to work in a retail store, if you want a job. life is not about a job or a livelihood. Life is about exceeding the bounds of the limitations we have of the human potential and seeing that human potential that could catapult us into the cosmos if we understood it properly. And if we went back to our villages and actually spoke to our elders, we'd learn a lot about that. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Jay. I'm so grateful, and I'm really, really grateful that we are recording this, for the African Father in America podcast, and it's also going to be available here on Clubhouse in replays, and you can listen or watch it on YouTube as well. But you shared with us that life is not about a job, but it is about exceeding the bounds of the human potential. And I could write so much about everything you just said in your last statement, but this is what I grabbed from it. I'm just so grateful. I do want to ask you to stay with us while we listen to, Zizi, and I feel that we haven't heard from Saki and Tiff. And then Hazel, can just share with us her thoughts in regards to the whole conversation until this moment. And then Jay, you will close today's, session for us. But Jay, I just want to thank you also for connecting me with Gogo Rutendo Ngara. She has been such an amazing contributor to the Daily African Proverbs. And also to me, I just feel that I met, a spiritual leader that I've needed in my life. She's so wise, but also very, very humble. So thank you for that connection. Now, Zizi, I hope you're doing well. Share with us your perspectives on the proverb and your thoughts on everything that Elder Jay just shared with us.
I love Jay's presentation. I mean, it's beautiful, and I agree with him. It's not only to live day to day and have a job, but to change humanity at large and do something that will change the world for us, especially Africans, Somehow I hate to say, but the proverb make me think of how we have been treated through the ages, through occupiers and through all that, like we are probably the richest continent there is, Africa. And because of that, we have been occupied by so many, have not occupied, politically, we've been occupied financially and everything else by taking away our resources or creating rift between different tribes and different countries, so we're never united. So we do get whipped for sure. And usually the one that is in the advanced states like Egypt or so on, we really get whipped. Like now, Canada has placed Egypt with 2 other African countries so that nobody can come from Egypt or go to Egypt. No airline would go and come. I think it's a little bit too much how we get treated. No real education. But when we are seen as lead, look at how many Arab countries are even existing now. They've been all destroyed, and each one of them, except I guess Saudi Arabia, but because they had resources, and then these resources got used up, and that's it, with war and whatever. So this the lead cow always gets whipped to be an I guess even in bringing out our children, we ended up, adopting occupiers' behavior. So the older son usually gets all the blame and all the punishments because we're trying to set examples for the younger kids. And that's not fair. We always treat the person who is the leader or the elder as we want to make them an example, the lead cow, so that she can lead the other cows. So I felt sadness in reading the proverb today. It just brought it home. So I hope that all of us try to do something about that by elevating ourselves and our talents and our children, bringing them up with a different mentality than we were brought up. Thank you for allowing me to share.
Thank you so much, Zizi. Yeah, I appreciate that. And it's true that we should bring up our children with a different mentality than the one that we were brought up with. Thank you again. Saki, please briefly share with us your perspectives on the proverb and the share by Elder J.
Simon, thank you for the opportunity. I've been listening in, and there's so much knowledge that has been shared. Unfortunately for me, the way I understand the proverb, I understand it in a slightly different way than most did. I believe if you look at as a farmer, usually they have a lead cow, which they place in front of the other cows when they're plowing. And so what they initially do, they keep that cow in check. So they always whip it. And then when they whip the cow, if it tries to go out of the way, it goes out, and then the rest of the cows follow. And I believe this is exactly what they're doing with Africa, with South Africa. They know most of our import and export, usually, especially for the SADC countries, usually come through South Africa, and now they're putting us in a economical slum, so to say. So I think we need to come to a point as Africans where we definitely need to stand together, and our leaders has failed us numerous times. I think there was somebody who mentioned that earlier on, where in a case where our leaders, have seen countries as Europeans, when they have these issues, they stand together and then they make a collective decision. But as Africans, we are divided. And I think we are still using divide and conquer. That's what the Europeans and all other superpower countries are doing. They're still using the divide and conquer tactic that they use. I mean, if you can really see, we don't have an inter-African trade. They use the borders to separate African countries, and this is why Africa is never really able to grow and become a superpower, especially when it comes in the economical sector. So for me, I believe as Africans, and how I understand about this proverb, we need to come to a place and time where we need to be able to put our feet down and say, this is enough. I think I saw there's a picture I've seen of a lady which is wearing an African map, and then there are all the different minerals written on the shirts. Now, when I look at that, it's very beautiful to look at and to be able to say, like, wow, Africa really has a lot of minerals. Africa really has a lot of resources. Africa has a lot of land. Africa has a lot of sun, but then if you see how much of the resources that we have that are really owned by Africa is minimal. And that's very saddening. And I think we need to really come to a point where we need to sit back and really rethink. And the other day I was having a conversation with a few of my friends, and I thought, and I came to a conclusion that if Africa is really to be a superpower, I think we need to come to a point where we have to understand that there might really be a world crisis. There will be a world crisis for Africa to really prevail, because the European and the European countries will not just give up everything like that. They will put sanctions on us. We've seen this happen with Zimbabwe and so forth. I don't want to take much up of the time, so that's what I understand and what I have to share for now.
Yeah, wow, that's amazing. I loved how you shared that for Africa to prevail, there has to be a global crisis, and maybe that's what we are seeing now. Maybe that's what we are seeing. I want to pass the microphone quickly to Tiff. Tiff, I hope you're doing well. Share with us your perspectives on this proverb. Then we'll pass the microphone to Hazel, and then back to Elder J. But before Tiff speaks, I just want to welcome everyone who has joined us, on Clubhouse, from Enkabat and Victoria, all the way to Sensors and Dr. Wanda, Zize and Zizi and Tiff, and everybody else on stage. Thank you so much for taking your time to join us for today's session of the Daily African Proverbs. I would love for you to ping in a few people into the room. If you're on Clubhouse, ping in people intentionally, people that you really feel should be here for the remaining time that we are here. And also, if you're watching this on YouTube, I would love to hear your perspectives. Share with us in the comments what this proverb from South Africa means to you. The proverb says, the lead cow gets whipped the most. Thank you so much. And I'll now bring it to you, Tiff.
Yo, what's going on, Simon? I see that you're still holding strong
I
and
know.
letting it look at you. Look at you. I see the battle that you endured with Instagram. I'm glad that you won. You're victorious in the end, as always. It's so good to be here. This is home. This is home. This is home for me on Clubhouse. The proverb today: the lead cow gets whipped the most. The lead cow gets whipped the most. You know what, Simon? This is so interesting, to me personally, because I was just writing in my journal the other day and I had a revelation, a realization, if you will, that I am the curse breaker in my family. I am the one that is breaking many generational curses. I'm the first one to graduate from college, to receive some sort of higher education. I'm the first one to survive marriage, to remain married. Everyone in my family, mother, father, aunts, uncles, grandparents, have been divorced. I'm the only one to start my own business. I'm the only one to grow locks. It's just so many things that I am doing that is breaking generational curses in my family that will be for the betterment of my daughter and my grandchildren and my great grandchildren and so on and so forth. But with that, as being the one, as the head and the lead of this race, of this I don't know, trial and tribulation of a journey that I'm enduring, I am getting whipped the most. I've been the one that has the most health issues in my family. I've been the one that has had their car repossessed before, that has been homeless before, that has been broke before, that has been without a job. I've been the one that has been talked about, that has been ostracized, that has been forgotten, neglected, and unloved. So I understand this proverb on a personal perspective when it says the lead cow gets whipped the most because it costs to be the boss, as we say here in the US of A. Thank you so much, Simon, for this opportunity. I miss you. Let's connect and let's continue to grow together. Blessings to you all. I say an amen.
Wow, Chief. I'm so grateful that you're here. And yes, this is home. Anytime you're here, I feel like, it was just this morning that I was dreaming about the earlier days of the Daily African Proverbs and how, just like today, it was a very warm village, just a place where, for me, it's where I get my feet warmed before I get into the day. It's the place where I begin my daily routine. And so you are a very important part of the village. And thank you for just sharing with us how you are a curse breaker. I'm very, very proud of you. So keep up the amazing work. And, keep up taking a little bit of whooping here and there because you're really the lead cow. But now I want to bring it to Hazel. Hazel, thank you again, for your leadership. I want to, give you a few minutes, just make a few comments and like closing remarks with everything you picked up from everyone. And then Elder Jay is going to close our session for today. Thank you so much, Hazel.
Hi, Simon. It's always a pleasure to be on here and taking all this wisdom. Thank you so much for having this space. And hello, everyone. And I just want to start with what Elder Jay said. When I saw the proverb initially, my mind went to what Tiff just shared on. But to take off from what Elder Jay said, he said each and every one of us has a purpose, but you have to start within your circle, like how we say back home, charity begins at home. But you mustn't get comfortable to say, oh, my family is doing okay, or my extended family. You also have to ask yourself, I've done this for my family. What can I do at a regional level, at a national level, and what can I do for my continent? You have to like take it as a millimeter by millimeter thing, making sure that you look after yourself. And then I think one of the major theme that was coming from out of our discussion, people are saying if you are a leader, you're bound to be fought, they're bound to be setbacks, they're bound to be pushbacks. But the more you're pushed back, it means you're on the right direction and you must be doing something right. But the sad thing though, like what was shared by, oh, I think she left. I think it was Z. She was saying, she was just sharing on how most like Arab countries that are taking the lead, that are wanting to break off and, show that they can also be sustainable on their own. They are fought back, and like there's a lot that's done to destroy the countries. But like there's on like how there's an embargo on airlines in Egypt right now. So I would say, like what Elder Jay said, just teaching our children that there'll always be a fight. But when you attain something, you have to, each day is a fight to maintain what you have attained. Like right now, we have attained in most in African countries, we have been liberated, right? So we have to fight daily because it's not, people will say, oh yes, they got their liberation, but still those things that attracted them to come and like colonize, to come and like have apathy, they're still there. The gold is still there, the diamonds are still there, the resources and everything, like in the Congo right now. So it's just coming together, finding out a way to make sure that the divide and conquer doesn't take place. I've just made me remember of what Dr. Rikana Chombo, she was the AU ambassador to the US. She was saying, have you ever asked yourself why there's always war in the places like the Congo? Then she said it's just a tactic to make sure that while you're busy fighting, saying there's a civil war and everything, precious minerals are being looted. And she was saying in Kimberley, like there's a helicopter that leaves every few hours with diamonds and everything. So just coming together as a collective as Africans to say, hey, we are the lead, because right now I feel like everyone in this room, we are in a position of privilege. So what can we, asking ourselves what we can do with our privilege? That's knowledge, that's technical know-how, coming together, pulling that and making sure that we work to say, hey, we attained our independence, our freedom. What can we do to maintain it?
Wow, thank you so much, Azel. This is Simon speaking. I love how you just summarized the themes that you picked up from our conversation today. Thank you again. I want to now pass it to Elder Jay. Jay, please feel free to take a minute or two to just share with us your closing remarks. I'm deeply, deeply grateful for the time that you took to be here with us today. Thank you.
Thank you, Simon, and thank you to everyone on stage and in the audience. It's been important for me, that I listen into conversations like this because it inspires me to see that the work we started is not ended, and I'm not sure when it will end. So enjoy the journey. Africa is the richest continent. Our resources fuel the global economy. African people, 20 million people, were shipped out to build, the countries that were colonized. Whether that's Brazil or United States or Canada or any of the countries, our resources were stolen from us to build the great cities of Europe. And I don't think that narrative or that strategy has changed at all. Today, we are still the slaves of the dominant culture in the world. So whether that happens to come from the west or the north or south, it doesn't really matter. I think our challenge is how to take 54 countries in Africa that were designed in a conference in 1834 by our colonizers and divided amongst European nations, and created artificial boundaries that create this notional idea that we have sovereignty, which doesn't really exist. We are fiefdoms. And increasingly, these fiefdoms are dominated by our predatory elites in Africa, or whether it's that it happens to be in the other parts of the developing world, serving at the altar of a dominant Western culture. If you look at Africa today, the country most involved in the mining and resource exploitation of Africa is Canada. This is what they are going to be doing in Southern Africa, taking the Okavango Basin and drilling for oil, given permission by our governments in Botswana and Namibia, that will create a Niger Delta in our backyard. Now, Shell wants to drill along the entire wild coast of Africa. Why do we believe that we have sovereignty when we don't? And that's the challenge of your generation. Look at this challenge and saying, wow, we have, like Steve Biko said when I was 15 years old in a meeting, we have nothing to lose but our chains, because the mind of the oppressed is the main weapon in the hands of the oppressor. Now start to think that and internalize that. How do we build the Africa beyond all the limitations of our politics, of our governance, of our exploitation in the context of a global economy? How do we build the Africa that actually heals itself and heals the rest of the world? Because that's what we are. We're deeply wounded, and that wounding will mean, if we do not address it, that the trauma is passed from parent to child and will continue until we heal the land that is filled with the blood of those that were killed in the pursuit of slavery or colonization. And once that land is healed, then the children born of that land can look at each other without the tinted lens of prejudice and see, irrespective of the color or the caste or the religion or the culture, that I am one with the other, and I am one with everything that exists, so that the goal in life becomes to be a good ancestor. So how do we end up being good ancestors? That's the issue that faces your generation. And I wish you the greatest optimism and the greatest joy in embracing that challenge. Thank you, Simon, and thank you all.
Oh, Jay, you left us with a big burden, and we will take it. We will take it as it is. And just in closing, I just want to say that Africa seems to be, Africa is the lead cow, and Africa is being whipped now, and Africa, has been whipped for a long time. And it's a challenge to our generation to change that. So I can't say much, but I want to say thank you to you, Elder Jay, and to everybody else in the room. I am really, really grateful. I wonder if we heard from Alexis, though. Alexis, did we hear from you? I think we didn't have an opportunity to hear from a few people. Alexis and Dr. Node is off. Is that right?
Yes, I didn't share today. I was actually in the doctor's office. My apologies.
No problem, no problem. Well, we will wrap it up for... Well, go ahead, Alexis.
Oh, thank you. And habari za asubuhi, everyone. That means good morning in Swahili. Me and Simon I have been doing some Swahili. I'm learning it, and I'm very proud to be learning a native language. I don't know what my origins are in Africa, but I still want to learn a native language, and I am. So just like I also wanted to just say, as I said before, because I do believe that we had spoken about this proverb before. And I did say that Africa and African peoples are the lead cow because we came first. Every other people came from us. So, of course, the people who created everything and everybody are going to be whipped the most. But it is our responsibility, like Elder Jay said, to um, unite ourselves. It's our responsibility to no longer allow this because people only do what you let them. And charity, most certainly, my grandmother used to always say that it starts at home.
So, my purpose on this planet, the reason why I have returned, because this is something that we should be asking our children at birth. That is an African, something that we practiced in Africa, to ask your child, why have you returned? I have returned, and my purpose here is to unite my people, and I will not leave this planet until I do that. So, I just wanted to share that today. I know it's possible because I'm going to do it. I'm going to unite my people. Thanks. I'm Lexi and I'm out.
You will. And also, Kiswahili is a very important part of uniting the people because it's a language spoken in over half of the countries in Africa. So keep going. Just to be respectful, I also want to make sure Dr. No Days Off is not available. Otherwise, we want to give you just 30 seconds to share your piece. But I know you and I are connecting after this, so we can talk over there if we don't hear from you.
Definitely, Simon. I'm not gonna hold anybody up. I'll tell you right now, if you wanna learn some more about this proverb or hear some more perspective, then follow me and Simon over on the Wisdom app. Simon, you can go ahead and talk about that. I'll hold my comments until we get over there.
Excellent. Thank you so much. I'll speak maybe to Wisdom because Dr. Nodezov spoke about it. It's a new app similar to Clubhouse. It's 8 weeks old, and it was founded by an African. I think she's a Nigerian. A Nigerian living in the UK. Her name is Dayo, and she's an amazing human being. I feel that you should all check that app out. I think she's very accessible. She treats creators really well. And I interviewed her last Monday. So you can, watch and also listen to that conversation, on YouTube and also in the African Father in America podcast across all podcasting platforms. Thank you again. Make sure you're following the African Father in America Club here on Clubhouse, and also subscribe to my YouTube channel, Simon Javan Okelo. I will see you all tomorrow at the same time. And then on Thursday, we will be doing this same room, but on Twitter Spaces. On Thursday, we will be hosting Gogo Rutendo Ngara. So every Thursday, we are doing the Daily African Proverbs, but on Twitter Spaces. Then Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Friday, we're just here on Clubhouse as usual. I also just, want to be respectful and let Joseph speak about the 3 travel gems to Africa, which is happening every Wednesday at 1 p.m. Briefly, Joseph.
Thank you, Simon. It's in a lovely room every Wednesday at 11 p.m. Southern Africa time. And I think, Simon, what time is it Pacific time?
It's 1 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, and it's in the One Vibe Africa Club.
Exactly. So you guys, you are all invited because we share about travels, we share about ideas, we share about places that we have traveled, we have experienced, we have explored. So join us tomorrow at 1 p.m. Pacific time and 11 p.m. Southern African time. And I think it's about 10 p.m. West African time, so that we can share the wonderful places, the hidden gems of Africa where one can be able to come and explore and experience. I thank you, Simon.
Thank you so much. To everybody else, have a wonderful, wonderful day. Thank you so much.
African Father in America. Tujikaze, tujikaze, jikaze. Tujikaze, tujikaze, jikaze. Africa, tujikaze, tujikaze, America. Tujikaze, tujikaze, jikaze.
You are listening to African Father in America podcast by Simon Javan Okelo, live from Seattle, Washington.